Does open water have a ready room? Because I was just at the Crifter Games and the open water event had a ready room, and all the swimmers were in a tent and it was a weird ready room. But you guys always have ready rooms in open water?
Yeah,
like
we
big
do.
tent? Yeah.
And everybody's like, it's funny because everyone's like doing all their prep. So like you have everybody like rubbing the Vaseline on and like chugging water. Very different from like the swimming ready room where everyone's like already got like goggles already on, like locked in. Instead, it's
But
like
how
just
big is the ready room? Because they're like 80 of you. Because how many people are in a ready room?
Sometimes
even a room. It's outside. Yeah,
it's the Ready Beach.
The
Ready Beach sounds like where I want to be. I'm telling you that. Welcome to Social Kick. We got the full crew. We just rolled right into it. I'm Brian Lundquist. We got Dr. John Mullen, Luke Paddington, and open water extraordinaire, author, national teamer. You've been everywhere, and you seem to already be a ton of fun. We're so excited to get a chance to talk to you, Becca Mann. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here on my favorite swimming podcast.
Hell yeah. Stoked on that. What's up, boys and girls? Quick pause to give you some context on our guest, Becca Mann, before we jump straight into the conversation. We were having so much fun with Becca that we didn't really go over her credentials, but I think it might help you as you listen to this episode. Becca was a total child prodigy. Age 10, she crossed the Maui Channel. And then went on to an international career representing the U.S. in distance swimming and open water swimming, where she went to the World Championships, the Open Water World Championships, the Pan American Games, the Short Course World Championships, and raced in a lot of the top training groups too. She was coached by Randy Reese, and her family moved around so she could be coached by Bob Bowman, and went to USC and then back with Bowman at ASU. So been all around. Recently took a 5-year break, and then now she's back in the pool where she lives in North Carolina, training with fellow national teamer Ashley Twichell. So Becca's lived quite the life in swimming, which she's recently documented in her memoir, Outside the Lanes, which you can find anywhere. So Becca's an author and has also released some fiction novels too. So total riot. This conversation, we had so much fun with her, but thought a little bit about her swimming credentials might help you as you listen to it. Hope you enjoy. Also, if you are enjoying Social Kick, please, it helps us a ton if you like and subscribe wherever you're listening, especially if you go on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening to podcasts, and leave us a review too. That really helps the show, and would love it if you shared it with one of your swimming friends. So thanks, gang. Appreciate you, and see you on the next one. How many strokes do you think you've taken in your whole life?
Oh, I'm not good at math. I can't even like count up to a 400 and warm up. So I have no idea. I can't even guesstimate. Whenever I'm like doing my warm up, I literally cannot count to 400. I'll do like a 300 or a 500, and that's long course.
Wow. To be fair, my watch also cannot count warm up because I had done 350 meters the other day, and my watch said that I had done 700 meters, and one of us was wrong. So either I suck at counting or my watch does.
But I must say, once you start getting in shape, a 400 seems a lot shorter than it is. So when I was really, really out of shape, and I crapped 16 laps. So now I'm like, oh, that feels good. I'm at 400 already. Dang. So time passes when you're in shape. Even though.
You know what I'm so excited about?
Oh, I was going to say, I bet you she's at 50 million strokes, to throw a number out there.
Hold on.
No, more than that. More.
Give me the logic.
You think more?
Why?
All right. How many?
How many strokes? We'll say she doesn't know.
I have 10. No idea. I can't even guess.
Let's do the math.
John, give me the logic for 50 million. Let's hear
I did a rough stroke per lap, and then how many yards or how much volume she swims per workout. We'll say about 350 to 400 workouts per year. That's probably a little undershoot, but we'll say around there. And then we'll say this has been going on for 30 years. Just kidding.
I'm 27. Hey.
Exactly. You got started early. Randy gets you guys going young.
Listen, with the amount of meters that you've swum, you are older than 27 in swimmer years.
My body's actually.
Yeah,
Nobody
totally.
has done a 10K at age 7. You did a 10K at age 7. Is that true? I don't get that.
Yes.
What
I might have been 8. I'm not really sure how old I was exactly.
That's better. Okay, 8 is fine.
Birth certificate. Let's see it. Come on, we need proof.
I couldn't find the results. I tried to figure it out, but the results weren't there. And Yeah, I did it because my family, like, we had signed up for Swim Miami. I don't know if you guys know of that race. It's this open water race that happens every year. And my parents were like going to do the mile, and me and my older sister, we were also, I think, going to do the mile. But then I found out that there was a 10K, and I wanted to do the longest because I just thought that that would be cool. And I like begged my parents to do it. And they were like, sure. Like, if Rachel, my older sister, who's 2 years older than me, so she was like 9 or 10, if she does it with you. And my older sister wanted to kill me. She was like, I did not sign up for this. I don't want to do the 10K. Why would I ever want to do that? But they're like, you have to do it. You have to take care of Becca. And she was like, okay, fine. So I drafted off of her the entire swim, literally the entire 10K. It took us 4 hours to do this 10K.
Yeah, good.
And we're coming up at the end. We were supposed to like come out of the water together holding hands. And at the end, I swear that I heard her say, because she got stuck behind like this old man. I swear I heard her say, you go ahead, Becca, like you finish without me, because she was stuck behind this old man. And it was like very crowded at the finish because like I think that the people who did the 5K and like the mile were also finishing at that time. So I like, after drafting off of her the entire time, I sprinted away, swam ahead and beat her by like maybe 5 seconds. And she was so angry.
Yeah, I would 100%.
To this day, she won't let me live it down. She's like, I took such good care of you, and then you just stabbed me in the back at the end. But
I want us to all raise our hand if we've ever raced a 10K in our life.
10K. Raced it? Well,
Swimming. Yeah. It's a little secret.
Yeah,
Have we ever
running.
raced a 5K in our life? Anybody in this podcast? Raise your hand, Becca. Have we ever? Nope.
Nope.
Just like, get to know your
All right.
audience. Have we ever raced a 3K? You did, Brian and Cayman.
No, that was a mile.
Yep,
The
yep,
Cayman
yeah.
one is the flower swim is a mile.
So the closest we've done is a Lake Tahoe, Trans Tahoe race, and that's 30 minutes. And I want to say we swam about, I don't know, 2K,
1,000.
2.5K.
I love that race. That's such a good race.
Okay, wait. I should go back on that because I've done a couple Ironmans.
Yeah.
a few,
There we go.
3,
Oh, yeah.
3 or 4, and so yeah, and that's 3,800 meters. So that
Yeah, so
that
you've
sort
done
of
more than a
counts.
3K.
Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
a warm up into your 10K. 10K just sounds. I can't even keep my goggles on for that long without needing to like clear them out, and I clear my goggles out after every rep. There's no way that I could keep them on for that long.
That's like, actually, that's one of my biggest challenges in the 10K is keeping, like, not adjusting my goggles and my cap, keeping my cap from falling off.
Okay, we got to talk about your cap.
Yeah, every single 10K that I've ever done, there's been a moment where I think, I wish I'd shaved my head before this. I should have just shaved my
Do
head.
it.
So if you ever,
We
if, like,
support
one
this
day I just
idea.
shaved head, it's because finally, like in one 10K, I committed and I decided I'm shaving my head. I'm not dealing with this anymore.
Oh, we need to put some stakes on this. What are you getting ready for that we can wager on whether or not you should shave your head? I feel like you need to put something out there. It's
I
also
think
I'm gonna say Luke will do a 10K with you if you shave your head. I'll throw that out there.
Okay, we're talking. I think all of us need to do the 10K though. It needs to be all 4 of us. I'll shave my
I was
head
gonna
then.
say, I think it
I'm
counts
up
what I
for
just
it.
did. So I just went to the Carifta Games in Trinidad, which is the Caribbean Junior Championships, and I had to commentate the pool events. That was one thing. Then I had to commentate the open water race, a 5K, 1 hour and 10 minutes of commentary. I had to talk.
Yeah.
That was difficult, and I think I might as well have been given. I swam it as far as I'm concerned, because it's a talk for an hour and 10 about, and around the first buoy, there are 2 people splashing.
I don't quite know who they are.
No, because you can't read their numbers on their show. It's really hard. You
Yeah.
can see their caps, you can see the country code, but to get the numbers, you have to be really close to the buoy to get their numbers, and then you have to check the sheet and go with number 17, Becca Mann. It's difficult.
It is.
Is this a technology problem? We've talked about this when it comes to
The trackers weren't working. Yeah.
the streaming music and
Yeah.
being able to use that with the headphones. But like, it just seems so crazy to me because I think about this more watching triathlons, and the commentators are totally in the dark, being able to describe who's in the lead, who's where, and I'm like, how come they don't have chips? And is it like
They
chips
do have
not able
chips, it
to
wasn't
transmit
working in this race.
location?
Yeah, they should have chips. You guys have chips, yeah?
Yeah, and the thing is that like
do.
you only go through the like chip arch. I don't really know.
Yeah,
what
it's not that often.
Yeah, like once a loop. There need to be, and like sometimes there'll be trackers on the buoys. So like when you turn around, it'll pick up swimmers, but it doesn't pick up all the swimmers because it moves a lot. So
Yeah, but I want real time, Becca. I
do too.
I don't want every threshold that you have to pass.
Brian wants his meters per second per every open water swimmer.
If we can get meters per second in the pool,
If you can do that in the pool, you should be able to do that in open water, right?
meters per second is so useless. I don't know.
And imagine the
stats we want,
sand,
but it's
how
not
fast
bad.
you're going down river on your sand. That was a fast piece.
Yeah,
Been pretty fast.
Yeah.
those
Are
people
we-
are going so fast. Yeah,
We got to circle back and do a
5 meters per second.
so fast. Yeah, 5 meters per second and then 0 meters per second as soon as they went back into the current.
A negative sign. I've never seen that before.
Oh, weird. They're actually going backwards. Usually that only happens at the end of a 200 fly.
Yeah.
So, okay, we got to come back to your cap because when I hear your name, the first thing that I thought was the way that you wear your swim cap. And I remember vividly
Describe it.
watching you race in the peak of your career. And what I remember is that cap and the distance between the cap and the top of the goggles is 0
Oh, no.
It
margin
would be
whatsoever.
over my goggles. Over my goggles.
Can we talk
And-
about that?
Yes.
What's-
Okay. So it started on my first swim team when I was, I think, like an 8 and under. All of the cool people wore their caps low over their goggles, and I wanted to, and they were all faster than me, so I wanted to be like them. So I just started doing that, and then as my cap issues continued throughout my career, and my cap kept falling off, I was like, okay, I need to pull this all the way down because if it's up here, then it's gonna like slip back and fall off. So that was the way to keep it on after a while, and I was like, I'm not gonna mess with this because this seems to be working. My cap seems to be staying on for most of my events, so I'm going to keep it this way. And then I think as I got older, finally, I was like, this is ridiculous. I look ridiculous. I need to put this in a normal place and just trust that it's going to be okay.
See, these are the stories I love because, God, I remember doing some horrible knee kicking relay starts because fast kids on the team did it. And I think now you just watch like videos of, elite swimmers that are doing less ridiculous stuff like wearing their caps below their goggles and doing weird knee kicking. So we've kind of lost this era of like, okay, I'm going to imitate this 17-year-old on my summer league team because he goes 26 in a 50 free because he's so fast and they're doing ridiculous things. But what a fun,
but it must be
fun
because
era.
his goggles are down over his cap is down
Big
over his
time.
goggles, not because
Exactly.
he's fast.
Luke was doing bar fights because of Victor Davis back in the day. So it's like all these crazy things that people were doing just because that's what the local idols or legends were doing.
That's the epitome of cool. I can't imagine anything cooler. Actually, I think about this when I see like young boys training in jammers now, because I'm like, how do we influence them to bring back the brief? The brief is where it's at. Why are we wearing the jammer? It's slower. Who made jammers cool? Stop making jammers cool.
Oh, and a short follow-up in cap. Who remembers the swim cap that had the goggles in the cap itself? Do you remember that invention?
Oh, Josh Davis wore them at like the 2000 trials
For a
or
minute.
something like that, didn't he?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They did not last long.
It did not last long.
No, but they have that in cycling helmets. Literally, I looked at one yesterday because I was shopping for a new bike helmet, and I saw that Oakley has a helmet with the integrated visor, and it's just they have that for like time trial helmets, but they also have it now just for like a regular riding on the road helmet too. So
Yeah, I feel
that's
like
one
there's
thing.
got to be like we should bring it all the way down here. I got to look at the rule book, get the executioner mask of swimming, and like get the full
Wear a
face
helmet.
dome going.
That's actually a really good idea. 50 free mask. You're not going to breathe anyway.
No, exactly. I mean, you
Why
can get
not?
a little mouth hole here, but yeah, I don't know. We'll I have to
Okay.
check the rule book on
I
it.
love it. I think that this
So
is
I
going to
do
be
think-
swimming's next thing.
I think so. But like to your point about like losing the cap, I mean, so peak of my open water career was being first out of the water in Kona at Ironman Worlds. But, like, and I'm so bummed. I'm so bummed that I lost the cap too. Like I lost it in the water. I don't know when it came off, but it was just like, latex cap, and they like, I don't know, they obviously don't fit perfectly on your head. And so anyway.
But you
lost
have to
that.
wear a
No
cap
good.
in open water, right? We were just discussing why everybody trains with caps in pools these days. It's something that most kids doing. But when you race when you train open water, do you have to wear a cap from if
I
also
think
you have long
you
hair?
have to start with the cap, and then I don't think you have to finish with it.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I know a lot of the boys will they'll start with their cap on and then they'll just rip it off right when it starts.
It's hot.
And then and then go
Probably
capless.
a great rule then. Really, really smart rule.
That'll be me when I have my shaved head.
Well, we were always talking about, maybe before you hopped on, about like how everybody wears caps nowadays. Like all these kids, John was saying, like all the club kids, they're all wearing caps, boys, girls, like everyone. Nobody's not doing it. And like I don't like wearing a cap usually unless I'm racing. So I don't know like what's led that to be a thing now. But also I was doing this workout the other day and it was hot in the middle of the workout. I started with a cap and then when I'm in the sun, I don't have a whole lot of coverage. And so when, I'm swimming in the sun, I want to have a cap on, but it just got too hot. So needed to take it off. I don't understand all these people that got it. So that's that. Let's talk about audience questions. So we ask our audience at Social Cake Swim on Instagram and YouTube for questions for our guests. And we got a few for you. Of course, Becca Mann, peak author, Outside the Lane's new book. Muller Sports Psych wants to know favorite author. Who's your favorite author?
Oh, I don't even know. I was not prepared for this.
That's the beauty of it.
Okay, favorite author. Okay, I only can think about what I'm reading right now. I'm reading The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. I think Brandon Sanderson takes it over at some point. But whenever I'm reading something, that's literally the only thing that comes to my brain. So I would say at the moment right now, it's Robert Jordan. But as soon as I start my next series or next book, it'll be whoever wrote that series.
Okay, this one's not an audience question, but it's just one from me. Do you read fiction or nonfiction at all? Or is it mostly fiction? Mostly
fiction. I like dystopians, fantasy, period pieces. I'm nerdy. I like all the nerd stuff. But I'll occasionally read some nonfiction every now and then. I read a lot of memoirs as I was writing my book, just to figure out what the other books in the genre. But now that I'm done with that, I'm back to just reading my long 14 book fantasy series.
Enough of the real world. The real world's painful. Let's get to a fantasy world where we can live in somebody else's dream scenario. That's great. I think this one's somebody This one's from Jason.Cow wants to know, your book is titled Outside the Lanes. What is your favorite lane to swim in?
So this is someone that I train with, and actually, so he comes in. He's a master swimmer, but comes in every Thursday morning and does IM with me. Okay. But lane 2, I have to always swim in lane 2. I don't know why. That's just my favorite lane. It's the lane that I do best in. So at the pool that I'm training at currently in North Carolina, lane 2, always.
Hold on, I gotta double click on that one. The lane that you do best in. By what metric?
I think I'm really happy in that lane, and I haven't really been swimming in any other lanes, so why mess with perfection, right?
Damn right.
Hey, listen,
surely those must be correlated, just like how the
some extra jets in that lane or something.
I spent a whole lot of years in lane 8. It was a whole Auburn thing, lane 8 heroes and sprinting. So if you had to earn your right to swim in lane 8, but once you got into lane 8, it was a rite of passage. So
was that a wall lane, or was there an empty lane next to it?
No, it was an end lane.
Okay.
And the best way to start the workout, because then you can do a runner. So skipping warm up and talking about warm up and counting warm up anyway. The way to do it is you waltz your way halfway down the pool and you do a runner and you really only dive and glide for the last 10 meters. So you skip the first lap and warm up. It's the best way to do it.
Oh, that sounds fun.
And the gutter is right there for after those hard sets when you have to empty your stomachs.
I feel like I go
one time
in the end lane.
Have you ever puked in practice?
What was that?
Have you ever puked in practice?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I have I have a stomach flap that doesn't close all the way, so sort of every practice, but not puke. You know what I mean?
Well, you puke in racing because of What is that?
Basically, I regurgitate a lot if I eat within 2 hours of swim practice. Just because if there's pressure on my stomach flap, it'll just open.
Is that the same as like is that the same like biomechanically as what happens with acid reflux, or is that different?
Kind of, but I think that like something about my stomach, I had to get a camera down there to see what was going on. And basically my stomach flap doesn't work properly. But yeah, it's kind of the same as acid reflux.
But it makes you more nauseous when you race open water, or the two are not related? Because you talk about how you vomited like nonstop for one of your races, you know?
Oh yeah. Okay, so that was during the Maui Nui. That one I was always like, I was just constantly like regurgitating. It doesn't. I did feel sick to my stomach, so it wasn't like I was like projectile vomiting or anything.
Okay.
It was more like I was working so hard and my body was so exhausted that like anything that and I wasn't eating, I was just like drinking lots of calories. But whenever I drink it, like half of it would come back up over those next 20 minutes. And then I like still was looking forward to like my next feed because I was so exhausted and like hungry, but also felt sick. It was a strange mixture.
Strange mixture. Speaking of mixtures, let's do a quick lap. By popular demand, Luke already showed his Kona Big Wave that he's drinking, so I won't ask him. John,
Hawaii.
That's right.
I love it. I love Kona.
You got it. Becca, you drinking any beverages on this evening?
I have my Nalgene water.
Nalgene. You know, I've never owned a Nalgene bottle.
Oh, they're great for hiking. Like if you go on a long, I like went through a phase where I would go on like 5-day hiking trips out in the wilderness. These are perfect for it.
Wow.
Because they're light and then you can just like easily refill at the river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've borrowed Nalgene bottles, but never actually owned one myself, which I feel like is sacrilege because they're such a thing. Totally.
Yeah. They're really
John,
a
what are you
vibe.
drinking?
Still working on the NCAA beer, Rainier. So still working with the local beer.
Really? You've still got, we polished off, Becca, we polished off a lot of Rainiers.
And we bought too many, apparently. But don't worry, I've been drinking other things, so it's not like I'm going to Masters Worlds like Luke and need to be worried about that.
That's like, you got to be, that's a slippery
Luke, you
slope,
shouldn't be
Luke.
having that Kona right now.
I got permission from the doctor, John. He said it's okay.
I told you, Luke's overtraining already. He's a lost cause.
Luke is very streaky, Becca. You need to know that whether it's editing videos or swimming and doing workouts, Luke is extremely streaky. So he's in his, as I mentioned, he's in his workout afterglow. He's so excited about the fact that he's going to Masters Worlds. And we said, how do you get fast at sprinting? You need to lift 4 times a week. And Luke said, 4, why not 8? So he's lifting every day of the week. And then he's swimming every day of the week. And he's going to not burn out because he's going to break the cycle.
15 seconds. That's it.
Drink you a Kona
Taking
Big
mystery
Wave.
supplements. He's all good to go.
Wait, when is Masters Worlds?
It's in 3.5 months, August 14th,
Okay.
like 2 weeks after the real. I'm gonna say real
nice.
the other worlds.
No, that's the real worlds. You can call it the real worlds. You don't have
It's
to,
not.
you
There's
don't have to
6,000 masters
sugarcoat it for the Masters community, hopefully.
It's a short enough time that you won't get overtrained before then. You'll be fine. You'll be ready to go.
He does need to pick your brain about overtraining for real. Okay, and then
I know a lot about that.
I'm drinking a Lagunitas Daytime, a session IPA, and I don't know. I just wanted something with a little less alcohol content because I've been loving the Pliny the Elder double IPAs lately, and double IPAs just have way
Those
too
are
much
strong,
alcohol in them. So as
love
good as
IPAs.
they are, let me just drink 2 4% beers in a row instead of 1 8%.
Perfect.
And in our social kick koozie too. So shout out to anybody of you who we saw at NCAA's who got hooked up with a koozie. Great to see you. Let's come back around to you, Becca. Oh gosh, so many through lines that we could start on about authorship or swimming. I think maybe first of all, I want to start with like your relationship with the water because it sounds like it started really young. And then thinking about your journey with a family commitment to be homeschooled, to prioritize your swimming career and move you around to take advantage of or to help set yourself up for success. It sounds like from a very early age that swimming was a giant focus. And now you're at a place where you still have a relationship with the water. And I think that is awesome. Can you tell us about the start of your swimming journey, and like and then like how swimming is a part of your life now?
Yeah. So swimming for me, like I read so many books growing up, like when I was a little kid. All I wanted was to have a sword and go off into like battle in a fantasy world. And I promise this has a through line.
Okay.
And that wasn't really a viable career option for me. So
Those Renaissance fairs, right? Come on.
there were no, open applications for being a warrior. So I really found that in the water because I had this goal, I had this mission, and I trained for it every day. So it was like, I was like training for the big battle. And just seeing that improvement, and also I like loved being alone with my imagination, and that was where I like, because the other way to fight battles with your sword is through writing, and that was like the other way that I found it. So there were these two things that I loved doing, and I could do both of them when I was swimming. I could like think of different ideas for what I wanted to write and different stories. And as I was doing that, I was also, preparing for the next battle, or preparing to be the best swimmer I could possibly be. So, and I think that like a lot of that came from just like the solitude of the water. I know, like, do you guys know when you go for a long walk and like your mind just solves all of your problems somehow, like as you're just moving?
Totally.
Swimming did that for me. And also, just like feeling powerful in the water also did that for me. So that was like the way that my love of swimming was born. And also it came with this like inherent challenge where there were always harder things that I could be doing. So like anytime I accomplished something, there was always something new to move on to. And I think that I loved that as well. And then of course, like other things came along that like helped and derailed that, like my swimming career. But today I took 5 years totally out, 2 years totally out of the water. And then I would like swam on and off masters for 3 years, not very seriously. And then about 6 months ago, I decided I wanted to like see if I could make a comeback in my 30s. Well, not 30s. I'm 27, but like up in
it's a long-term goal.
My 30s. I've aged myself up in my head. And I moved to North Carolina to train with my friend Ashley Twichell. And it's been amazing. Like I have, even if I'm never fast again, like as fast as I was before, I'm so happy to swim every day. And I'm so happy to like, every time there's a hard set, I'm just grateful that I get to do this on a daily basis. Nice. And it's been really wonderful. And I just had Open Water Nationals and was the 5th American. So I just have to go an Olympic trials cut in my 1500 before August 31st, and then I'll be back on the national team. So yeah, like swimming is just, I missed it so much during those 5 years. It's really something that like, it helps me process life, I think. And it's something that I'm really, really grateful for, and that I have whenever I'm feeling stressed or like things just aren't right in the world. I can always trust that the pool will be there, and I can always just like enjoy myself there.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. I was wondering because I was like, I obviously it seemed like you had retired from competitive swimming, and then there was like a potential other career path, and then I was looking up a swim cloud, and I'm like, whoa, there's a result from January. Holy shit, you at 9:53 in the 1,000 like a couple months ago. Like, what is going on with this? This is definitely way above masters swimming. Yeah. Sorry, Luke, no offense. And so now that makes a lot more sense. I had to do that 1,000 to
qualify for Open Water Nationals.
Pretty good. I'm assuming a 9:53 will qualify.
Yeah, it was a 9:57. And that was 3 months after I'd been training. So I'd only been training hard for 3 months. So I was actually very happy with that 9:53.
Yeah, well, I would be. Sounds pretty good. Mm-hmm. But you jumped. What happened in between the? I'd love to come back to swimming to moving to Carolina to train with Ashley Twichell. Like that's a big move, and that's a commitment. But there had to have been some like rediscovery of the water, or like want to train seriously. Where were you right before that? What was going on?
So it was mostly like, so I was working in Hollywood, and then with the writer's strike in 2023, everything just kind of like shut down after that. And just, it was hard to like find a show to work on, a TV show. And I was writing novels on the side, outside the lanes. And also I had this other book that just came out called Unruly, and it's a dystopian.
Yeah.
And so I was like working on these books, and I was living in LA and having like a lot of fun. Like I was traveling a lot. I was going on so many different like fun adventures, but I didn't feel fully fulfilled. And then actually I worked the Olympics in Connecticut as a swimming researcher. And as I was doing that, I remember I was like working 12-hour shifts through the night, and it was like 4 a.m. and I like covered prelims, and I was watching the live stream before like the event started. So like just what the NBC people see. And I was like just watching random swimmers like stretching and warming up. And I was like, oh, I miss stretching. I miss warming up. I miss the ready room. I miss competing. I miss warming down. I miss training. And I was like, why am I not doing this if I miss this so much? Like, what am I can work anywhere. I can be a freelance writer wherever I want to be. Why not give this another go? And I also think that female athletes in particular, female endurance athletes tend to peak in their 30s. So as I was thinking about it, I'm like, I don't think I physically peaked when I was 18. Like that just seems ridiculous. It seems ridiculous that I peaked when I was 18. So I was just like thinking about that, and I was like, why not give it another try? Why not go back to it if I miss it so much? And I'm so grateful that I did.
So awesome.
I have a very quick question, because I stopped swimming at 24 and I jumped back in at 35, like a 10-year break. But I decided to start swimming. I swam the 50 and the 100 when I came back to train and got in shape for that. And that was hard enough. How do you take a 5-year break and get back in shape for an open water swim? That's just a big, like, how do you stay in shape over 5 years to be able to do a sub 10 minutes, do open waters? That's difficult.
Yeah, I think that like a lot of it was I'd swim like I'd probably swim 3 times a week. I would once a week I'd do a practice with Ivan Puskovich, who trains like 7K. He's an open water swimmer. Yeah. So I would just like get destroyed in that practice, and then I'd have like 2 masters practices. And I just really stayed active. Like I got into cycling for a bit. I got into hard hiking, stuff like that. So I was always working out. And then the 5 months leading up to the 10K, the first 2 months, it was like I had forgotten how to swim. Like there were some practices where I was barely moving, and it was really hard at times, but it was so much fun to see the improvement, because I started dropping time like an age grouper. Like about 2 months in, all of a sudden, like I would drop like 5 seconds in 100, and I'm like, oh, wait, I can get this back. Like this is awesome. So I'm still in that phase where like now it seems to be that I'll be at the same pace for like 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden I'll like drop a few seconds per 200, and then I'll be there for like another month, and then I'll drop a few seconds. So awesome. I think it's going to take me another year to get fully back, because I think it'll be about 18 months total before I'm like in a place where I'm fully like back to where I was at my peak athletic performance.
Yeah, you end up chasing like the long tail, right?
Yeah.
Which like those marginal gains by the time you get like to the top tier of the sport.
Guys, I have 3.5 months of Singapore. 3.5 months I get to my peak, by the way.
Well, right. I know that Luke's sitting there taking notes, and he's double your age, so he's got to think about, how to 1.5 times at least. What's
keep doing what you're doing. The 8 dryland sessions per week.
Don't be discouraged.
More
Luke.
dryland, more Konas.
We're joking. Luke's looking for a training suit, or looking for a competition suit.
Possible.
Yeah, he wants to know what kind of suits he needs for a fat man in his late 40s.
Wait, like an open water suit, or
no. 50 freestyle.
No,
yes, he needs an open water suit. Yes.
I'm like, what about our 10K where I shave my head?
I think this is a good idea. Okay, it's Luke wearing shapewear, or it's Becca shaving her head.
We're doing both of them.
You talked about endurance elite athletes and peaking later into their 30s. And I've talked about this on the show. It's been confusing to me for a long time why I see in marathon and triathlon and like these endurance races, ultra marathon running, that you've got both men and women, but that are like endurance athletes peaking into their late 30s, even early 40s, and why we don't see that in swimming. The only people that we would see in swimming is Dara Torres swimming a 50 freestyle in her 40s, and Nick Santos swimming his 50 freestyle or 50 butterfly into his 40s. But it's like quite the rarity. And I think I'll speak for all of the three of us, Luke, John, and I, about being surprised by Katie Ledecky recently having like arguably the meet of her life and breaking the world record, when I would bet that 90% of the people listening to this probably thought, okay, we're probably not going to see any more world records out of Katie Ledecky. Like still like, you know, elite at the top, but maybe not at her personal best. And so now it's like, okay, awesome. Like now, I mean, she's not in her late 30s, of course, but my point is that like there's an arc to it. And I do think that your point about the like later, we just don't see people extend their careers for that long to be able to see the result. But I think like physiologically, that's probably been a possibility and a reality for a long time if people were to do it like you're like getting after it.
See, I have a few things to say about that. The first is that I think that Katie's best is yet to come, because I think that female athletes, this is based on no science whatsoever. I think that they peak twice, one in their late teens, and then the second time in their like early to mid 30s. And I think that because late or in your teens, your recovery is incredible. Like a female teenage athlete, like I think about myself back then, I was recovering in an instant. Like I didn't get tired. I could do like 10 events at one meet, all back to back to back to back. And it wasn't hard. It was super easy. Well, not super easy, but like it felt easy at times.
Yeah.
And then like your 20s, you're kind of, you don't have that recovery anymore. And you're trying to like adjust to not being able to recover as quickly, and like what that looks like and how much training you should be doing. What do your 20s, and also like your 20s is just a weird period in general where like, you know, you're figuring out who you are, you're figuring out what you want to do with life. And especially for like somebody who swam their entire life and didn't do anything else like that, it's a particularly hard period. And then if you like look at athletes in their 30s, like open water swimmers, a lot of those athletes, like the athletes who are medaling at World Championships and the Olympics, most of them are in their 30s. And that's because they're, you know, like I think that endurance, that's when your endurance is at its best. Like you've learned how to recover. You've gotten over the slump of your 20s where like you're figuring things out and figuring out like how to train your body at its fully grown capacity. And I think that is why it's like late teens, early 30s. So yeah, I think that it'll be interesting to see for sure. But and the other thing is that a lot of athletes retire then, like when they get to that slump of their 20s. And also like, you know, it's not the most financially stable job to have, being a professional swimmer. So like, you know, they hit 22, 23 and they're like, okay. And also are probably burned out from having trained so hard for so long. And they're like, okay, I'm done with this. Like I'm no longer at my best. What's the point? I need to go and get a real job and make money and move on with life.
Right.
Or as a woman, have a baby. Like Ashley
exactly.
did, right? Now she's coming back from that, and she's
and she got third, like third at Open Water Nationals. I think 9 months after having Lachlan, her first. Yeah.
Wow.
She just had another baby 3 days ago.
3 days ago.
Or 4 days ago. Yeah. Which means that she'll
her in practice
next year.
Yeah. She missed practice.
Making her. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you nailed a lot of the main points, you know, like you said. Okay, a lot of athletes, swimmers, it's not financially viable in their mid-20s, so a lot peter out then. Then two, you have the physical toll. We already talked 50 million strokes maybe on your arms already. And, you know, you did take a break, right? Where a lot of swimmers have no break during that period. So the shoulder muscles, unlike runners, it's a lot smaller around the rotator cuff. So it just breaks down, needing surgeries or repairs. And then you have an issue. You have Katie Ledecky, who you could say has been on the luckier side and also probably better managed side just due to her success and having elite care around here for a lot of her career. And the last part, and I think you experienced it, and maybe you can talk more about, you know, it's the mental side of it, right? It's a lot of time to yourself, a lot of time in the pool. And unlike running, you're not typically having marathon training for a 12-year-old where you're having open water distance training for a 12-year-old swimmer, right? So it's physically and mentally so much more demanding for swimming than it is for runners. So maybe talk more about your experience with that, and maybe if you see ways for it to be improved, because it's obviously still happening nowadays.
Yeah. You know, I needed to take that break for sure that I took. I was at a point because I got really overtrained when I was 18, and that was just because it was a mixture of, the year before 2016. So in 2015, open water for that year, you had to get top 2 at nationals at 2015 open water nationals. And I won that year. And then you had to get top 10 at worlds. And I was 14th and like a touch out. So I missed that team. And like, that was really hard for me because I thought I was going to win worlds that year. I went in so confident. I was like, this is going to be easy. I'm going to easily win this. Like, this is my race. And then, so missing that and that's my favorite event. Like I love open water so much more than I love the pool, and I love the pool. So it was like, I felt like my dream had been taken from me. And after that, I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, I have a great chance in the pool in the 800 and the 400 I am. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm going to make sure that I do everything perfectly this year to ensure that happens. So that was my mindset going in. And for the first 3 months, I did everything perfectly. And I had results that showed that I did everything perfectly. I went like an 821 in my 800. I went a 437 flat in my 400 IM at like some random meet in November, where I like was coming off of hard training, not rested, not tapered. And I was like, okay, great. Like I just need to continue what I'm doing. And I like was counting every stroke. I was swimming on Sundays. Every time a practice said easy, I would just go hard. And it paid off for a while. And then all of a sudden, I remember like the first sign was in January at a pro swim series in Austin. I'd gone a best time in the 400 free a few days before, and I was getting ready for the 800. And I was sitting down before my race, and all of a sudden I was like, I don't know if I can stand up. Like, I don't know if I have the energy right now to stand. So I like freaked out. I was like, why? That's super weird. So I was like, it's okay. Like, most people can stand. I can stand. I'm going to do this. That's all I have to do. I just have to stand up and walk over to the ready room. Like, that's all. So I stood, and then I like felt a little bit better. Swam the 800 and did okay. I did an 824. I was expecting at that meet like an 816, but I was like, it's fine. Like 824, I beat the third person. I was like, okay, I'm still on track. Like, still number 2 in this event in the country. All good. And then I had like the next month of training was like very on and off. I was having a lot of bad practices and like just feeling sort of strange. Like I would feel like my heart was beating too fast or too slow. And I started having like these really weird recurring dreams about swimming, where it was like I'd wake up in the middle of the night and wonder why I wasn't swimming. And
like, God, that's terrifying.
I'm drowning.
I was like, I need to go to the pool now. It's like, it is 3 a.m. I do not need to go to the pool right now. I need to sleep. So then finally in March, I was about to go to the Orlando Pro Swim Series. And I remember it was the Sunday, the meet started on a Wednesday and it was a Sunday. And I just had all of a sudden I just had a panic attack, because usually when I had panic attacks before, because I have OCD, it would be like from a thought that was just stuck in my head. But this one was fully like my body freaking out and like trying to warn me, okay, you need to like calm down and not swim so hard all the time. And then I went to the meet and like every event got worse. And the thing that I loved doing, which was like doing the events back to back to back, I tried that once. And remember I had the 400 IM and I added a few seconds and then I had the 200 free right after. And it was really, really bad. And I was like, oh, this is why people think that this is hard doing these back to backs. Like I felt like a train hit me.
God.
Then basically after that, it was just like everything started unraveling where like my hormone levels were at that of a prepubescent child and my blood work was all off and everything was just everything was wrong. And the only thing that I could do was rest. And that was just, there wasn't enough time before trials to get back on track. And then I herniated some discs in my back too. I don't really know how, but yeah, it was a rough time, but, what was the question?
All good. Yeah, I think you nailed most of it. I think the next one is, obviously this type of training is still, done by a lot of distance athletes and young swimmers. And I think with, colleges recruiting earlier and earlier, you get recruited so young and that being such a peak for so many athletes, it's going to keep happening. But do you have any recommendations on how to, mitigate that or manage such high training volumes? Say
take breaks. Like, I think that just taking like, you know how people like, I know that there's like a thing in swimming where it's like, oh, every one day that you take off, it takes 2 days to get back. I don't believe that. I don't subscribe to that. I don't think that there's any science behind that.
No, there's not.
I think that like if athletes after their championship meets in like August took 2 or 3 weeks off, or like even a month, and like had when they started feeling really buried, or like had a particularly long like and hard month or 2 of training, like just taking like 4 days off or 5 days off. I think that people don't realize how much your body needs like that recovery phase. So I would say that. And also like going back to the overtraining, I think that was why I needed to take time off, because even like 3 years later, when I retired, my body still like wasn't fully back. Like it didn't feel the same way that it felt before I got overtrained.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read this article for Swimming World that got a ton of great feedback from coaches, and it was called the 2-month break rule, and how every like one prepubescent or like 15 and under should take 2 months off of swimming. And it was like, oh my God, you're going to ruin the sport. What a horrible idea. How will anyone be any good? And it's like, I'm only talking about like pre-high school kids, even though I think it probably isn't a bad idea for most people, but it just was like, oh my God, there's no way they can recover and swim. It's crazy.
Yeah. And it comes back really fast too. That's the other thing. Like you just need, if you take 2 months off, you probably need like 3 months of hard training, and then you're back to where you were before and you're refreshed and ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that would be great. People should start experimenting with that. Seeing what that looks like.
I don't know what my question is going to end up being, but it's along these lines.
Great intro.
I love it. Don't worry. I don't know what my answer is going to be.
No words are going to fall out of my mouth, but here we go.
So I don't know how I'm going to feel about it.
Getting back in the water, these guys doing NCAAs, we got to play with the Destro Power Rack, and I really enjoyed how different this power rack was to other experiences I had with power and resistance training. And it was a nice new tool that I've enjoyed the feel of it, and it's something that's new, and I hadn't experienced it early in my career. Take a break. Watching the Carifta 5K race and even watching Paris Open Water, I was always amazed of how you guys, after 2 hours of swimming, can kick in with so much power the last 25. You're not pushing off a wall and going, and you're getting power. So my question is there something in your training, even after, and you've come back after 5 years, that's new to you that you're working on to be able to sprint, change gears for the last 10 seconds after doing 2 hours of, aerobic, high aerobic? Yeah, what are you doing for power to close a 10K? How are you guys doing that?
So it's interesting because I've noticed that the thing that still like hasn't clicked into place, and I think that's because this comes back last when you're getting back into shape, is my gear changing. I really struggle to change gears at the end of practice now. But my coach is like having me do at the end of practice, he'll have like a few hundreds all out. Like usually like 2 to 5 100s all out, where I just like try to change gear. a lot of the time I will still continue holding the same like pace that I was going in the 500s that we just did. And I don't know what it is, but it's like I can't quite get it yet. It's starting to come back. And I do think that that's just from taking time off. But for me, I used to have a 6 to 8 beat kick for my entire 10K. And it was just from the Bob Bowman kicking camp that he seemed to like. He loved giving kick sets, and I love kick sets. I think I had the strongest kick of honestly like most distance swimmers at a high level during that time. But now I'm like, I've kind of figured out, because now I'm like, okay, I need to conserve energy for the 10K, especially like at nationals. I knew that I wasn't where I used to be. So I decided that I was going to have to conserve for as long as I could. That was my race strategy. Just conserve for as long as I possibly can and then try not to get dropped. So going into that, I decided that I was going to like try to do a 2 to 4 beat kick. So my training, I was trying to tone down my kick a little bit. So now that like I'm working towards the 1500, I'm trying to get that 6 beat kick back. And I think that like a lot of that sprint at the end is just from like getting your legs into it and figuring out how to accelerate, because it's not about like a lot of the time people get dropped in the 10K because they don't know how to accelerate rather than they're dropping off. It's that they can't go faster because the pace picks up and they aren't able to pick up their pace with the others. So yeah. I don't know if that was a good answer.
Pretty good information. Yeah, thank you.
Is that something that's difficult to simulate? I mean, I having done some endurance stuff and done some Ironmans, like the thing you can't simulate in training really is like what the last hour of the marathon is going to be like, or in this case, like, you know, do you ever go as deep in training as you do in a race to be able to create that level of fatigue, that mental fatigue, that physical fatigue, that depletion that is like, okay, you know, people always say, you know, it's like you have to get to a certain level of hurt before the actual improvement starts. Yeah. And everything up to that point was just like warm up, and maybe it's like maintenance, but like, you know, it's fourth quarter, it's the last like, you know, few hundreds of practice where the gains are made. So yeah.
I think that there is. And I also think that like a big thing in racing for me, like in races for me, is the adrenaline, because I'm always so excited and there's so much going on that I think I sometimes rely on adrenaline to get that push and to, you know, get me to the finish line, especially when a lot of the time in the 10K, it comes down to like, who is the grittiest, who can mentally withstand the pain in order to touch the touchpad first. And when I think about it like that, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have to be the grittiest. Like everybody hurts right now, and just show that you can push past the pain the best. So a lot of the time in practice, I'll also like try to bring that mindset in and be like, okay, you're gonna go all out on this, and this is going to hurt, but you need to be the grittiest. You need to remember that that's what you're going to rely on at the end of the race.
Becca, Jalan Sarkani said that he rather swim a 10K than a 200 fly. He says he was bummed when they dropped the 25K. You have raced trials 2 fly, 4 free, 8 free, 1500. You know, it's a 10K too short for you. Sorry, you swum a 64K race. It took you 21 hours or something, right? But is a 10K too short for you? Is that your sweet spot?
Right now it's not. Right now it feels long right now, just like based on where I am. At times, I would say, well, it's interesting because the 25K, I got 7th at Worlds that year. I got dropped around the 20K, and that was like because the men had lapped us at that point, and the women who win the 25K are the ones who can stay with the men's pack up until the end. Okay. So it's about how long you can stay with that lead pack of the men. And then I stayed with them for about 5K and then ended up getting dropped, and then finished, I think, like 5 minutes behind the winner, Anna Marcella, who is absolutely incredible. I'm mad that they got rid of the 25K for her because I think she was about to win her like 6th or 7th 25K at Worlds. And I think she was about to become the athlete who had won the most events at World Championships. I think she was about to like beat Michael's record maybe. but none of that is fact checked. But then they deleted it. They got rid of the event. So very sad. But I don't think that the 10K is too short for me. No, I think that it's probably around the sweet spot.
Sweet spot.
Yeah.
It's like event order doping, you know.
Yeah.
Well, people were talking about that with the addition of 50s and saying it's going to like deflate the significance of like prior, you know, medal haul accomplishments if somebody's able to do the same thing just because they're good at 50s, as if the 50s are easy.
I don't know how to swim the 50. All of those are hard for me.
You got to keep the Olympics exciting. Have someone chase Phelps's record. That's what they're after, right?
Yeah.
Reviews.
I really think though that they should have added the 400 fly and the 800 IM. Think about how fun the 800 IM would be to watch. You would have somebody get like way ahead and fly and then like die on breaststroke. You would never know who was going to win.
Eric the Eel Musambami, his 100 free was pretty exciting when he almost couldn't finish. Sorry.
Yeah, that's great. They almost drowned. It was really exciting.
All right, Becca, what does Summer McIntosh go in a 400 fly right now?
Oh, I have no idea, but I would love to see
No?
that.
Or what do you think someone could go, a female in a 400
I think
fly?
Summer could probably go. Okay, I'm thinking 415.
Okay.
That's
wow.
fast.
What about 800 IM?
800. Okay, let's see. What even would an 800 IM time be?
What's her world record? 424?
Yeah,
I think it's a 24. Yeah. Uh-huh.
See, I think I don't. The 800 IM is harder to guess, but I want to say like 9.
Dang.
Yeah, let's see Summer do a 200 breast and the 800 IM. That'll be that's going to be the breaking point.
What I'm excited
about.
about.
Watch this. We need her to do it in practice. Like suit up, get ready.
I'm excited for somebody to be a 50 meters ahead at the 400 mark and just get totally mowed down in the breaststroke.
It would be in prime.
B, who are you thinking of? I want to hear names who you're thinking.
Dude, I don't know.
There's definitely a few. There's definitely a few.
I don't know. I don't even. There's no one person that's sticking out in my head. Actually, well, strangely, this isn't the person that I think of when I think about going backwards swimming breaststroke is Rebecca Soni, because I'll never forget that 200 breaststroke where she was so far ahead and then just totally eats it. And I was like, how does somebody this good who's done this race this many times get it this wrong?
Eat it.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, I think it was maybe a suit thing. I think that's the only thing. I mean, it was a high pressure moment. So I think it was 09 Worlds or something. But anyway, yeah, crazy. Let's talk about books. So we got connected initially because of the book you released, Outside the Lanes, and but you mentioned that your interest is in like dystopian fiction, and is that right that you released your first book like a decade ago?
Yes. So I was homeschooled for swimming. Okay. And a lot of my homeschooling was just me like sitting in my room writing this fantasy novel called The Stolen Dragon of Quonks. Yeah. Which I started it when I was 10 or 11, and I self-published it when I was 16. It is not the best book. Like reading it now, all of the characters are very similar. It's like angry me, happy me, like all of them are just different variations of me, but in a way that isn't interesting, I think. So, but yeah, it was so much fun, and it was a project that like I found very fulfilling, and it opened so many doors for me. And after that, I went to USC and majored in screenwriting and got to like hone my writing skills. And then after that, so like I worked in TV for a bit, and had a bit of a screenwriting career. And then after that, like novels is just like my first love. Like that's what I love writing. I love The Hunger Games and Divergent and all of those like YA dystopians. So I just published one called Unruly, which is very much like in the vein of The Hunger Games meets like probably Bridgerton. Mm-hmm. And that's like what I really love doing. And then my memoir came from me like just reflecting on my swimming career. And as I was thinking about it, I was like, oh, this like really falls neatly into the hero's journey. Like I can picture this as a 3-act structure story. So from that, I was like, okay, like, and I think it would be good to, because a lot of athletes don't talk about mental health when it comes to OCD, and I feel like a lot of athletes have OCD. So I was thinking that, yeah, it could really be beneficial for a lot of people. So as I was writing it, I like thought of myself not as me. I was like, okay, Becca is our main character. Here's what she wants. Here's what she needs. And this is her like major flaw. And I think that like I was able to separate myself from the character of myself. And I think that that's what I'm really proud of with the book, and what I think makes the narrative sing is that I was able to really like look at myself objectively and put a flawed protagonist in the forefront of the book.
So you mentioned Hunger Games, and you just had you dropped a lot of metaphors of Hunger Games. You said sing, the mockingjay. you were 7 years old and you swam a 10K. Like when the young protagonists in Hunger Games, like Rue and Primrose, who did that, who was the District 9 coach club you were at? Who was Randy Reese? Who was Bowman? Who was USC people? Like those are like heroes in your journey, right? Or they were like characters in your journey.
Or villains. You can look at them.
Or villains,
right?
yeah.
I mean, we gotta get into this, right?
Or obstacles to overcome. I don't know what they are. Yeah.
Wait, so are you saying like which district would they be in, or
which district
who are
would
they
be
in the
like-
Hunger Games?
Yeah.
Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so I would probably have to be Katniss.
Yes, you're Katniss. Absolutely. You sang and you're the hero.
I know who that is.
You walked through.
Who am I going into the Hunger Games with? I don't know.
Yeah.
See, I don't have any like love interests in this book, so my Peeta and Gale aren't going to be. I feel like I can't do them. But okay, wait. We'll see. I feel like my Haymitch is probably Randy Reese. Yeah, I think it's Randy.
Not Eric Corsier, a young. No, because Randy, you had to have an old master. That's Hamish. Who was your Eric Corsier, the young distance coach who did good stuff for you?
I feel like this is hard to. I want either Eric or Bob to be Effie Trinket. But
yeah.
I don't know. That doesn't really fit perfectly.
John and Brian have no idea about Hunger Games, by the way.
No idea what's going on right now.
I'm just trying to figure out when's
Oh yeah, I saw the first movie, Katniss.
I'm trying to figure out when's the right time to break the news that I read nonfiction. I don't know.
Yep, same here.
Luke and I are the only ones who know what we're talking about right now.
Hopefully there's someone listening that's enjoying this.
But my team in the Hunger Games, I'm putting Ashley Twichell and Allison Schmidt on my team in the Hunger Games, and Eva Fabian. Oh, and also Alex Meyer was also like, the Cinna. I would say that Eric is probably Cinna.
Oh yeah. All right. I like that.
Okay. Yeah,
all right.
I like this
Those
too.
who watch Hunger Games and you know these characters, I agree with you. That's awesome. And you survived and you beat the games.
Woohoo! I won this year.
No, so a question about your book. So when you who are listening, go and buy this book. I recommend you do. I have a number of swimming books here. I have Ian Thorpe's, Ledecky's. I go back. I have a lot of stuff. And what's different about you is that I love how you bookended, obviously, with your 10-year-old swim and your. How old were you when you did it again?
21.
21. You book it really, really nicely there, but in the middle you have your journey. But you have a really good recollection of conversations or interactions you had with teammates across. And I mean, John and I we don't remember last week's podcast. but obviously, I mean, granted, it may not be word for word, but they definitely left a lot of impressions to you. Your experiences with all these well-known athletes and coaches and environments you're at. Talk to me about how you developed those stories and relive those memories and put it in there. How true was it feeling wise, you think, and how it helped you shape your journey?
Yeah. Well, everything that I wrote, like even if it wasn't word for word exactly what happened, I wanted to make sure that like the energy and the essence of it was the same. So I made sure that like every word that was said, if I couldn't recall the exact words, I made sure that the intention of it was exactly what it was supposed to be.
It was great.
And then I also have like a really weird memory, and that I remember the strangest things. Like I remember the strangest bits of conversation, and then I like forget really important things, but I'll like remember this one really dumb conversation that I had. So like all of the random like little, like every interaction that every conversation that I have with Allison in this book is like directly from memory. Like I just remember the strangest things like regarding our friendship. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of it was just like making sure that the tone and the energy were right.
What did you learn? What did you learn about yourself in writing this book?
This was also a really big part of why I returned to swimming, actually, because as I was writing it, I was like, this was so much fun. Like, even though parts of it were like dark or hard, or I like kind of had, or else I had regrets about them. The overall journey was something that I had a blast doing, and I'm so grateful for, and made me into the person who I am today. And I'm really like proud of the person who I am today, and I love the person I am today. And I was shaped by this journey, and I really was like I was able to look at my life through an appreciative lens in a way that I hadn't before. So I think that that's one big part of it.
Yeah, I imagine it's an interesting thought about like thinking about yourself as the main character and a protagonist. I was thinking about like, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, in the third person. Did you start talking to yourself like, what would a Becca Mann do in this situation?
Definitely.
It's almost like you're the therapist, and in a way, were you able to see events that transpired in your life through a different light of like you're looking down upon yourself and as like a potentially a fictional character in this narrative, and think, oh, this is the advice that I would give her in that moment, in a different way than if you're just thinking about like, you know, your life and reflecting on choices you made, or having regret or any sort of feelings about, you know, the way that life has gone for you thus far.
As I was writing it, I didn't want to think of myself as like, I didn't want to put my life perspective that I have now into the story. So I wasn't really thinking of it as like, oh, this is what I wish I had done, or like, I wasn't really watching myself and thinking about advice that I would have given myself. Instead, I was trying to like find the mindset that I was in, and like, recall the mindset that I had like during each event that happened in this book, and put that accurately onto the page. And I think that I did it well. I think that because also, sorry, I'm going on. I forget that thought. A lot of people have asked me, like, what advice would you give your 10-year-old self when you were like on that beach about to go swim Hawaii? Or like, what advice would you give your 8-year-old self, like knowing everything that you know now? And I don't think that I would want to give my younger self advice, because I learned from every single mistake that I made. And I know that if I hadn't made those mistakes, I cannot learn from other people's mistakes. I'm not smart enough to do that. Instead, I like have to make the same mistake like 5 times before I learn my lesson. So I don't think I would have given myself advice, because I needed to experience everything that I experienced. And just like knowing that as I was writing it allowed me to really like write it without judging. And also write it without wearing kid gloves involving like myself, my flaws, my ego. And it allowed me to like express and write all my different flaws without holding anything back.
Yeah.
Swimming has never been portrayed really well in the media over all my years, and it gets me really frustrated. And but when it is, it warms my heart. We had another USC grad swimmer on the show, Yusra Mardini, and they portrayed her story, the swimmers, pretty well. And we remember praising her, guys. Remember saying how she had like real swimmers casted, and she was particular about having real swimmers casted in her film. Your book is written by you, and you talk the talk. You talk our swimmers talk, and you hold true to it. And it portrays it well, and it speaks to me. And I bet you got pushback. I bet you must have got pushback from the editor saying, nobody's going to know what 5/100s means. Like a simple language like that to us, which is kindergarten language. People are not going to get that shit. But you know what? You stuck to it. And I think that's an important lesson in life. Just stick to my accent. Let me speak my accent. Let me be me. You be you. You did your thing. So I encourage those who know swimming, definitely, but also you want to learn about more than just your journey. I think it comes across really authentic. Did you have those sort of conversations and dilemmas? Like, do I need to water down my language?
Yeah, there were a few things that I did that got too inside swimming where it like, I had people reading it. They're like, I don't have any idea what this means at all. So then I would like explain it a little bit, but I figured out like a succinct way to do it every time that happened, where people who understand swimming and don't understand swimming would both be able to sort of get it.
Yeah.
And like the non-swimmers would at least be able to like figure it out pretty quickly. Yeah. So it was like a line that I had to walk, and I think I ultimately walked a little bit more like the swimmer line than the non-swimmer line, but I'm happy with how it turned out.
Absolutely. It's beautiful. Is there anything that you wish? Look, I'm an editor. The darlings on the floor. Like some of the best bits don't make the movie. Is there something that maybe you were afraid to get out in the public, or it didn't match the narrative? It's another part of the story that you wish could get out there and people can hear? That's not in the book.
It's interesting. So there was one draft, my second draft. So this I think ended up like around 80,000 words. There was one draft that was 130,000 words. Or no, that one wasn't 111. Sorry, I was mistaking my two books. It was 111,000 words. I had to cut 30,000 words out of there because it was too much, too long. A lot of it was like, I remember there was this one chapter about when I really wanted to get the 11-12 nag for the 800 freestyle, and it was, it was an 859.95. And what I thought was my last chance, I did a 900.00. And I was so upset. It was at Junior Nationals in, I think, 2010. I went home. I went back to my hotel, and I was just crying in my hotel room. And my mom was like, "Are you serious? Like, if you had gone an 855 or 59.94, would you not be crying right now?" And I was like, "Yes, I wouldn't be crying right now. I'd be happy right now." And she was like, "Don't you think that's a little bit ridiculous?" I was like, "No, I don't think it's ridiculous. I didn't get the nag." Yeah. I ended up Randy actually put together another swim meet like a month later, right before I turned 13, so I could get it. So I ended up getting it.
Good.
But yeah, there was like that was in there. And then
yeah, it's good.
It was just like a bunch of like small things like that that I was like, this doesn't like serve the ultimate purpose of, this is anything that didn't go on my journey of needs connection, wants to be the best swimmer in the world, but and like having those things in opposition to each other ended up getting cut.
It's good you did that.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to next?
Oh, so much. I think that next, like in the swimming world or in life in general?
Open-ended. Okay.
I'm really looking forward to first going the time that I need to go in the 1500 in order to get back on the national team. Looking forward to that. I'm going to see Cynthia Erivo play Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar at the Hollywood Bowl. I'm really excited.
Oh, yeah. Got robbed on the Oscar.
I know. I'm a huge Wicked fan, so yeah. It just feels right that Elphaba should be playing Jesus. I don't know why, but that feels perfect to me. So
both fictional characters.
Yes, exactly. Up for debate, but yes.
That'll isolate some of our audience.
What was that?
Never mind. I'll just go.
We have another hour, right?
Well, if you're not put off, thanks for hanging around.
I'm also really excited for after I make the national team, hopefully going to the World Cup in Sardinia for the 10K. Nice. And then just traveling a bit. I'm excited for life every day. I'm excited for practice tomorrow. It's IM day. So yeah, lots of fun things on the horizon.
Do you guys have any outdoor water there?
Yeah, we have an outdoor pool and an indoor pool, both 50 meters.
Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. I think I actually swam in that pool when it was covered for, maybe I was there for a World Cup or something. But the outdoor pool has do they have a temporary structure on it in the winter?
No, that was probably just the indoor pool because it opened, the outdoor pool opened like 3 years ago, I think.
What am I thinking of? There was a U.S. Open there or something, and I want to say, I don't know. Anyway, I digress. Summer season, hell yeah. What's not to love about it? Yeah. Swimming,
I know,
sunshine,
so nice.
Maybe a few
every
less meters.
Practice, the sun is shining, and I'm just, I feel, I'm so, it like is dopamine just getting injected into my body.
Totally. That's the right kind of dopamine, too. Not this phone dopamine, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sunshine dopamine that we all need.
Well, let's end it with some quick ones then. What's the hardest race in swimming?
10K.
Olympic gold or world record?
Olympic gold.
Audiobooks, yes or no?
Yes.
I tried to find the audiobook of yours, but I couldn't find it.
It'll be out at some point. It's not yet, but it will be.
All right. Do you pee in the pool?
Obviously. Does anyone not?
We've had a few debate it and say that they did it, but, you know, I think in truth they know their own real truth.
Yeah.
Let's speaking of dopamine, 3 phone apps. You get to keep 3. All the rest have to be deleted. Which 3 are you keeping?
iMessage, Safari, Spotify.
Safari, really, over Chrome? Okay.
I only use Safari. I'm old school.
Me too.
Right, yeah, whatever, you know, cool. Good for you guys. What's the highest number of books you've ever read in a year?
I don't count my books per year, so I have no idea.
No idea.
I'm starting to track. I don't know how many strokes I've taken, and I don't know how many books I've read.
Do you have any idea, like, what does your bookshelf look like?
Okay, right now I don't have one, but I have my 3 books that I've written. And then I have this book called The Favorites that I'm a Kindle person. So everything's on Kindle, but, my physical books, I have The Favorites right there, which I haven't started yet, but I've heard it's really good. It's, I think a figure skating, like I, Tanya meets like some sort of murder. I don't know exactly what it is, but I think it's like a romance, but also I, Tanya, but also something else. So looking forward to that. Yeah, and that's usually there's like a bunch of fantasy books. If you go to my parents' house in the basement, there is like Aragon, all of those good Percy Jackson, all the kid books that were the middle grade fantasy books.
What's the best swim that you've ever seen live in person?
Oh, interesting. Okay, the first one that popped into my brain, so it must be this one, is Jordan Wilimovsky winning the 10K at 2015 Worlds. That was really exciting because he was like 15 seconds ahead coming into the finish, like had broken away, was about to make his first Olympics, but he like looked like he was veering off course to do another lap. And we thought that he miscounted. And all of us were like, no, Jordan, no.
Miscounted 10K?
You need to finish. He did end up finishing. It was all okay, but.
Crazy. What's you write about this in the book, but what's the hardest set that you've ever done?
My favorite set, which I think is the hardest set, is 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, back down to 100. Evens free. Odds are some variation of IM. Like the 200's IM, the 300 was like back rest free. I forgot what the 500 was. The 700 was like 7 100s IM. And the interval on the way down, so like the interval on the way up is like you probably get like 20 seconds rest after each of them. And then on the way down, it would get to like 110 pace long course on the free. And I forgot what like the pace was for the IM stuff, but like touch only 5 seconds go or like less. But I loved that set so much. And I don't think I ever had a bad practice when we did that set. So it's forever like my favorite set.
When's the next time you're going to do it?
I don't know. I'm not sure, but it's a Bob Bowman set. So maybe I need to figure out when I'm going to be, if we're ever like up at the Olympic Training Center together, I'm going to tell him, all right, I'm ready for the set. I also need to make sure I can make those intervals again. I can't quite yet, but once I'm sure I can make the intervals, then it's happening.
Oh man, not only do we want to do that set again, but we want to do it at altitude. Bold.
Why do it at sea level when you can do it at altitude, right?
Yeah, spoken like a true I don't know. Yeah, I'm lost for words. I'm not the author. Come after me. How much social kick are we doing on a daily basis?
Probably a 400.
Good.
No, maybe a 600 because warm up and
Titans.
I mean, I'm not going to trust that that's an accurate count because of multiple instances where you've discredited your math skills, but I respect the estimate, and
400 to 600 is actually a 100 to 1,000. It's anywhere.
There's a right answer in there somewhere. 1,000 is good. 100's also good. Whatever you can get, that's the way to get it. Yeah. You're a riot. Becca, thanks so much for hanging out with us. We're very excited. Please tell people where they can find you and where they can find your book.
Okay, so Instagram, I am at Becca 2_, so _man, MANN. And then I'm on TikTok, Becca W Man. I think that's all that I'm on. And then my books you can find, Amazon is honestly like outside the lanes, most places that books are sold. And then Unruly is also on Amazon.
Hell yeah. Awesome. We'll go pick them up. Thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Yeah, thank you guys for having
We wish you many fast meters. If you have any tips, remember Luke might hit you up about overtraining because
please do.
He's getting after it, but John and I are just cruising through life. Maybe we'll find some endurance once we get as old as Luke. But until then, pleasure to have you. You're welcome back anytime. Thanks for spending the time. That's it for this episode of Social Kick. We'll see you next time.
See you, Mecca.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you enjoyed this episode of Social Kick and you'd like to see more, subscribe to the channel. And we love talking swimming, and we'd love to talk about swimming with you. So leave us a comment, and we'll see you next time.